UFC President Dana White is well known for many things: his warm persona, his eloquent speech, and his total lack of frugality. Of course, in reality, Mr. White is known for none of these things. In fact, his manic and vengefully tight-fisted behavior makes him one of the most notorious figures in the sport and has created a meme subculture in the MMA community. There is no shortage of variables that can cause a Dana White trademark outburst, but nothing triggers him more than a bad fight. And to be fair with him, we kind of see the point. If the backbone of your business is good fights and you can't deliver good fights, the boss might be a little ticked off.
Now, the reason he's not in the UFC anymore is because he could not pass a drug test. The guy couldn't pass a drug test.
With that being said, today we're going to take a look at the fights that infuriated Dana White. Number 5. CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. At UFC 225, one of the most head-scratching fights in UFC history took place between an unathletic former professional wrestler and a retired D-class fighter. CM Punk was looking for redemption after his first UFC fight didn't go quite as planned, losing by submission to Mickey Gall in 2017. Mike Jackson was also looking for redemption, with him being let go of by the UFC in the previous years. Despite Jackson's lack of overall talent or ability, he was still expected to steamroll Punk. And he did, kinda. As the fight progressed, it became clear that Jackson had no intentions of finishing Punk, and seemed to be going at 70% at most. Even Punk had his moments in the fight, landing a takedown in the first round. The fight went to a decision that Jackson, of course, won. Dana White was not at all happy with Jackson's coasting, and post-fight made it extremely transparent that neither man will ever step foot in an arena as fighters again.
I got the sense that he's a complete fucking idiot, and I couldn't wait for that fight to end, and I regretted not putting it on Fight Pass. That's how I felt about it.
Ouch. Guess that redemption will have to be saved for another lifetime. Number 4. Anderson Silva versus Demian Maia. Anderson Silva is known for his highlight reel of incredible finishes and lightning-fast head movement. Demian Maia is known for his incredible jiu-jitsu and great finishes off his back. On paper, this fight should be a masterclass example of a striker versus grappler matchup that answers many questions about the meta of mixed martial arts. The fight took place at Abu Dhabi at UFC 112 and marked the first time the UFC put on a card in the Middle East. So Anderson Silva did the most rational thing he could. Given the weight of the event, he danced around the octagon while the crowd booed. Silva could not implement any aggression and instead opted to circle around the octagon in an attempt to draw Maia in. The only problem with his plan is Maia did not engage as expected. This has been a criticism of Silva's style for a long time, that he rarely goes on the offensive and often waits for his opponents to attack first. When it works, it makes for one of the most electrifying moments in UFC history. When it doesn't, well, the fight speaks for itself. Dana White was furious with Silva after the fight and didn't even stay in the arena long enough to put the belt on him.
Anderson doesn't interest me right now, you know? The only thing I care about right now is going in and having the conversation that I want to have with him right now. As far as him fighting again and what else, I can't even think about it right now.
The relationship has improved in recent years, but Dana has not left the arena before the event was over, before or since. Number 3. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. At UFC 229, the biggest fight in UFC history took place between the Irish megastar Conor McGregor and the Dagestani king Khabib Nurmagomedov. The fight sold 2.4 million pay-per-views and absolutely lived up to expectations, with the fight going 4 rounds of intense violence. I'm sure you're wondering what Dana could possibly dislike about this. Well, it wasn't the fight itself, but rather after the fight, in which Khabib decided in his moment of adrenaline-fueled wisdom to jump the octagon and attack the entirety of Conor McGregor's corner. McGregor also proceeded to attack Khabib's corner when they jumped into the octagon and began to attack him. It all happened in seconds, but led to huge confusion and upset scared attendees in the Vegas arena as well as those waiting for the post-fight interview. Dana was furious post-fight and spoke of how disgusting the event was.
Is this a bad night for the UFC, for the sport?
It's a very bad night. Super duper, really super bad. I mean, the worst.
Before handing out 9-month suspensions and a $50,000 fine for their actions. We are certain that Dana is slightly more relaxed about this situation now, as the media attention for a potential rematch would be otherworldly, and the event kept the UFC in the headlines for weeks after it took place. If there is one way to calm down an angry Dana White, it's with a ton of money and attention for the business he runs. Number 2. George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. The eternal debate that rages on in the forums of hardcore MMA fans is, who really won Hendricks versus GSP? The split decision win for GSP divides fans to this day, with arguments for both fighters valid. The controversial decision was well documented by the media, but nothing compared to the spotlight that UFC president Dana White put on the match. Dana White had no issue with the performances delivered in the 5-round welterweight title fight, but he was absolutely certain that Johnny Hendricks won the fight.
He's the biggest pay-per-view star on the planet for me, and I still don't think he won that fight.
He went on a verbal tirade post-fight, cursing out not only GSP for his potential retirement, but also at the Nevada Athletic Commission. White called out the corruption of the decision, which is a bit confusing as the fight was remarkably close. Hence the split decision. However, White stuck to his guns that Hendricks won the fight and called for an immediate rematch between the two, but with a different commission. Number 1. Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz 3. This fight is an interesting addition to his list, as it didn't even take place under the UFC banner, but instead under Golden Boy MMA, which is owned and run by Dana's best friend, Oscar De La Hoya. Dana has made it no secret he dislikes the former boxer, labeling him a cokehead crossdresser, doesn't know anything about running a fight organization. So when De La Hoya announced plans to bring an aging Chuck Liddell out of retirement, only for him to get his name wrong at the press conference, it only further proved his previous theories. The fight should have never taken place, with Chuck being unable to take even a small shot in his 40s, and Tito made light work of Liddell, stopping him in the first round.
But let me tell you what, the commission that sanctions that fight, wow.
The main reason for Dana's outrage is his close relationship with Liddell, who was absolutely the star of the organization early on, and did so much for the sport. So to see him go out like this for a paycheck, it must sadden even the coldest of businessmen. If you like that video, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button in the bottom right corner. We post the most interesting content for you.